Our next presentation is by Mr. Raed Haddad. He has more than 25 years of project management expertise across a range of industries, including healthcare, technology, government, telecommunication, and financial services. Mr. Haddad has helped ESI clients in leverage, project management, business analysis, and business skills for strategic advantages. He is highly respected in the areas of project management, talent management, and measurement. Raed is in-demand speaker at conferences, events, and with executive audiences worldwide. He was a professional lecturer in School of Engineering and Management and System Engineering, the George Washington University, Washington, D.C., where he taught graduate-level courses related to project and program management and decision-making techniques. He holds a bachelor's degree in civil and environmental engineering and a master's degree in structural engineering, both from the University of Rhode Island. Additionally, he holds an MS in engineering administration in project management and MIS from the George Washington University. He is also a PhD candidate at the School of Engineering and Management Systems Engineering at George Washington University. The title of his presentation is, Are your projects supporting your vision statement? Prove it. Welcome, sir.
All right. Well, thank you for that great introduction. I didn't expect you to go into that much detail, but thank you anyway. Welcome, everyone. A pleasure to be here with you in Delhi to talk to you about one of my favorite subjects, measurement and impact of projects. My commitment to you is that you will walk away with a couple of ideas or thoughts or nuggets that will make a difference to your day-to-day work. And that's something I do for almost every presentation I do. And if I don't meet that commitment, please come talk to me afterwards. I want to make sure this is a valuable investment of your time, and we'll make it as interactive as possible. So I'll stay down here if you don't mind. I'm more comfortable, and if I'm more comfortable, then you're more comfortable. So one other thing, some of you have done some presentations on this side, and you get a lot of energy from the audience, right? Your presentation somehow gets better if the audience is more energetic. So what I'd like you to do is I'm just going to mention my name, and then I want you to clap really hard to kind of get me going, okay? So here's Raed. Okay, yeah, that's it. See, that just gets my blood going, and you'll have a better presentation. So, okay. So let's go on a little bit of a journey unrelated to the topic, but I'll bring it back to this topic, okay? And the journey is the answer to this question. How many work for a company that your CEO was fired? 1, 2, 3. They're always, oh, more. So what were some of the reasons? Just yell them out. Why do you think he or she was fired? Revenue generation. Please. Regulatory issue. Wrong culture. Stock stagnated. Any other? Strategy not working. And last? One more time? Non-compliance. And that could mean all kinds of things. So, so I like you, those are the kind of common questions that I thought, answers to this question that I thought of. I also thought that in my experience, I've seen where there's some kind of illegalities, probably under the non-compliance bucket, that usually causes somebody getting fired. Or sometimes some, too close of a relationship with certain people that they shouldn't have a close relationship with, let's put it that way. That could be another reason. But usually when you read the press, especially if it's a large company, the reason is what? Personal reasons. Wanted to spend more time with the family. wanted to relax from the hectic pace, whatever the reason. So there's a company out there that actually did all this research to find out why was the CEO fired, not just the public relations piece, but really the true, they did focus group interviews to try to get to the reason behind it. And actually, I'm going to ask one of you, would you mind closing the door back there? Because there's just kind of a lot of noise coming in. Thank you. And if anybody wants to come, charge them money. So they did this research and they identified these top reasons for it. What do you think the number one reason was? When I first read this, I was shocked because like you, I thought a lot of those kind of reasons. But the more I thought about it, and I hope the more you think about it, the more it makes sense. Any strategy, sooner or later, is going to turn into a project. Do you agree? Okay. Your ability to implement that project is dependent on many things. One of them is your realization that that project is a change initiative in the company. It's not a project. It's a change initiative. I don't care if you're building cookie cutter houses, they can argue that there's a change there. But generally speaking, the aha moment for me was every time I think of a project or communicate about a project, think about that being as a change initiative. And then that sets the expectations differently in how people react to it and managing expectations and so forth. Thank you for putting the lights on. That's good. The second reason was not listening to customers. How many here have a systematic, repeatable way to gather customer feedback? Well, is your value being questioned? Every day. Has that increased dramatically from last year or the year before? Did I know you before? Did I plant this? It is amazing how, and believe me, and they tell you this to your face when they're being polite. What they say behind your back is worse. If you get your C-level folks, they will say, this PMO thing, it's a waste of money. But you know what? I can't pull the plug on it. These guys are in love with this. I mean, it's kind of an employee engagement thing. Let them have it. You know, it's like, it's just a waste of time. You know, I'm exaggerating a bit, but often, and the reason for that is we don't show the value of PMO. We don't go into a VOI about PMO, the value of this investment in PMO. Let me build the case for you. What is the number one objective of PMO in 2013? Ensure the projects are running healthy. Show actual status versus planned status. Follow the process. Good man. The quality is maintained. Highlighting the problem areas of red alert. Giving the dashboard, the lovely. Okay, let me tell you, if I'm the CEO, if you are the CEO, you don't care about any of what you just said. That is value in PMO speak. Except the risk one, that you can argue that both ways. But generally, we communicate value of PMO, how many red, how many yellow, how many this, how many that. No. The value has to be much more than that. It has to be in business speak. How much have this increased revenue? How much has this increased customer satisfaction? How much has this increased productivity? What do the rest of the PMs think of the PMO? You know, the question that most PMO leaders are afraid to ask. You know, I'd encourage you to ask that because you're better off knowing than not knowing, even though the data is wrong. So my point is a bit of an extreme point on PMO, but I wanted to bring it here, given this audience, that this also applies to many of the things we do in project management. Okay. Now let me talk about a credible analogy. And as I said, what I'm going to share with you the journey that we had in the training area, which is what we do, and how we work with clients to prove that. And I'm just looking to check on the time. When do we have till? Till 3:15. 3:15. Okay. Okay, so I got about 20 minutes. Okay, and maybe I'll steal 5 more if that's okay with you. We just started just a bit late. Sorry? Correct. I tell you what, if you don't think you have my permission to walk out of the door and give me like this look, it's like a waste of my time. I don't like this. So you have absolutely, I'm a big boy. I can handle it. I hope you don't do it, but please. Anyway, so here's the analogy piece. So let's start with my big thing. Whatever you're trying to do, whatever you determine you're going to go, you must, whether you're the head of PMO or in this case training, the example I'm doing, or what we're talking about, measuring the effectiveness of projects to the company. It doesn't matter what we do, you have to add value. Value should be the word that you want to embrace as project managers in this field. Okay? How do you define value? Business outputs? How do you, in more detail? But profits, that's good. Customer satisfaction. End user experience. Bottom line. Sorry? It could not have been, I like that actually. What's your name? Abishe? Okay. Abishe says it could not have been achieved unless he was there. It's kind of interesting twist to it. Cost saving. Well, I agree with all this. All I'm saying, like beauty, value is in the eye of the beholder. I know it's deep. Okay, stay with me here. Okay, so what is valuable to you might not be valuable to me. And your job as a PMO leader, our job as a training organization working with a client is to figure out the consensus and allow that discussion to make sure all the points of view of value are measured somehow. You know, so if somebody's just in love with customer service and they think everything should be measured in customer service, that's it. I mean, you know, that is the most valuable thing. Somebody would say, I don't know, I think it's this one. So my only point is you just got to be careful of how you approach this, and you got to keep in mind that the perspective makes a big difference. What typically CEOs value is some of the things you talked about, bottom line and reducing risk and so forth. But one paradigm that I have used, there are many out there. You can use all kinds of ones. How do you like my picture out there? That's pretty cool, isn't it? Anyway, especially with this side. That is me. It's been a while. Maximize return, increase agility, improve performance, minimize risk. That's how I think. You can have a different model. I'll show you a different model later on, but this is how I want to make sure that if our training program, your PMO journey, the impact of projects to the organization, if I follow this framework, I better be clear, the reason I exist, the reason we have a PMO when we spend $1.3 million a year is because we do this in maximize return, we do this in agility, this. It doesn't have to be every one, it could be one or two, but that's kind of the one framework to think about. That's how you can bring consensus on quality and definition of quality. With me? Another one, the value has to be in business language. We talked a bit about this with the PMO example. So this is one example from one of our clients. This is actually from their PMO. Effective and profitable management of complex projects. If you're the CEO, what do you take away from that sentence? Effective means what? Productivity, savings that way. Profitable means more bottom line. Complex project, where do you make most of your money? On simple projects or complex projects? Those are the ones that are going to make you a lot of money. So typically, that is something, it resonates with the CEO, and then you can break it down into 2 or 3 metrics or what have you that you can come up with. And the next one is global consistency and capability. We live in a plugged-in world around the world. How can I move folks around? One of our key differentiators, because we are a global company, we can make sure that the training is done in India, in China, in Southeast Asia, in Australia, in EMEA, in Africa, in the US, in Canada, and it's all consistent. Hence, if they move a person from this side to this side, they're talking the same language. So that becomes where you're going to move your resources, where opportunities are, where projects are. That becomes a key business thing. You guys on the phone here? Oh, sorry. Thought somebody was making a phone call. Effective use of resources, higher customer satisfaction, as we talked about, increased employee satisfaction. That is, and then from a PMO point of view, it should be engagement and increased satisfaction of the PMs so we can attract and retain the best project managers in Delhi. That grabs your CEO. Does that make sense? I mean, I would, if any of you think that, you know what, that doesn't make sense to me, please, I mean, I welcome the debate. I mean, just don't throw anything at me, but I welcome the debate. And lastly, competitive advantage, as somebody that speaks. So if I was the head of a PMO, or if I'm in front of one of our clients, I'll think of that framework, and I will describe things at the highest level in these kind of terms. And if you agree on two, and make sure everybody says the same two, you'll be amazed how the opinion of this initiative becomes much more positive. Okay, please. This one? Uh-huh. Should. It is definitely. It is there in some, like you were saying, somebody was saying there that they have some great lessons learned, how the team did, and they can communicate it internally. I've seen it in a couple of places, but the overwhelming majority, when they describe project management, the value of a PMO or a value of project management, it's not this. It is ensure, tracking and, scheduling and, stuff that is important, process stuff that we all love and we think it's critical to the success, but that's not the business value out of a PMO initiative. And sorry, I had one other question here. Maybe not. Okay. So let's start from a training point of view, and I'll give you the analogy. So basically, most of the organizations we deal with, the current state is at the end of each course, we all have taken a course, what do you get at the end of the course? Some kind of assessment, right? And typically, more often than not, even in 2013, it's a hard copy, sometimes electronic copy, but basically the questions are your reaction to the class. How was the instructor? How was the material? How was the room? And how were the food and the cookies? That is probably the overwhelming majority of how training is assessed. That's the current state. And typically that's referred to, some of you have heard this, the smile sheet. How big is your smile? That in the industry, these are called smile sheet, because if you love the instructor, material, and the cookies, you're going to go 10, 10, 10, or 7 out of 7, or whatever the scale is, and then your smile is big. If your smile is less, so it's called smile sheets. So what we've done is, over the past 3 or 4 years, we said, okay, let's turn the smile sheet to what's something we call a smart sheet. So instead of me giving you this thing at the end of the class, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it to you online so I can leverage the same data collection point, right? And leverage technology to collect not only what I call level 1 reaction, the course, that's important, the instructor, the course material, the cookies, and the environment, that's all important, but I'm going to also collect data on knowledge transfer. You knew this, how much did you know after the class? I'm going to collect data about job impact. I'm going to collect data on business results. Let's say we agree that productivity, one of our clients said, productivity is a key focus for us. So I'm going to ask you a question after you take a project management class. Say, how much do you think you will improve productivity in your work after you finish this class? And let's give me an example here. Let's say 20%. How much? 20%. Good answer. Then I'm going to ask you, say, you know what? How much of that did you attribute only to the training you just took versus all other factors, like you have a new manager, you might have a new software, there's a strategic vision, and you might say 50% of that is only due to the training. So what I'm asking you to do is do a lot of predictive estimates of job impact, business impact. Are they accurate? It's self-reporting, so you have to adjust for something called bias, because we always kind of give ourselves better grades, or have especially if I had a great experience after the class, I might inflate the numbers. So basically what we do is we collect all kinds of data online, after that class, and imagine this. After the course is done, you will get questions to ask you about level 1 and 2, which is reaction and knowledge transfer, which is easy. Then I'm going to do all the predictive level 3 we just talked about. How much do you predict you're going to apply? Are you going to apply 50% of this or 1% of that? And right away, if I have 50 people, 50 is too much, 20 people in the class, and all of them say, I'm going to apply 1%, is that a red flag? That is a huge red flag. So something is wrong, either on their side or our side. So that gives you early warning systems. But let's say it's not that bad, and they say, I'm going to apply 50 or predict you're going to apply 50%. Then they come back and say, I'm going to influence this business outcome and that business outcome and this value and that value by whatever percentage they think it will be. All predicted, right? And then you come back to them 60, 90 days and say, okay, you said 20%. How much did actually happen? 5, 1, 0, 50? And what were the enablers that caused it to happen? What were the challenges to cause it to happen? And you can start, and then also you can ask the manager about how they're doing. So you can see how the data becomes very, very rich. And we sit down. Remember taking the eye exam where the doctor kind of gives you, like, do you see this one, that one? This is better than A versus B, 1 versus 2, you know? And remember that feeling when he finally puts the right one? You're like, yes, that's it. That's kind of how we went through this data. It's like, try this, try that. Oh, this is it. This is the right way to do it. And basically, I'm going to share with you 4 quick outputs that will help make the business case of the investment that a client made with us, let's say $1 million in project management. So first one, I'm going to give them a ranking, a simple ranking of the courses based on job impact. I put 200 people in this class. Here's what your 200 people said about which classes made the biggest job impact to them. Now, is that detailed? No. High enough? No. High level? Yes. But we'll build on that. So that's one data point in the value of investment, right? This is one data point. The second data point is job impact. So we said, given all factors, including training, estimate how much your job performance related to this course will improve. Whatever people said. In this client, 84%. Then we say, based on the response, how much of it is a direct result of the training? So we estimate, then we isolate for training, and then we ask, well, what percent of your job does this impact? 10% or 90%? You put that data points there, and then you adjust for this bias, this self-reporting. And any statisticians in the room will agree that if you are just down by 35%, you have more than removed the bias from this data. So you do this math, and basically you can come up with another data point that says, based on this data, it looks like we're going to get 18% return on this from a high-level job impact data. Second data point. With me? Everybody with me? Okay. I'm building the case, and imagine I'm presenting this in a different fashion, of course, in front of a senior leader saying, you spend $1 million for ESI. With ESI, how much return have we gotten? Then I'm going to build on that. And we defined 9 areas of business impact, right? We believe that these 9 can cover anything from a business impact. Some people like these. Some people want to change these. Some people might want to change the name. Increasing productivity could be a strategic initiative called Project Boca in your company, right? So, and Boca could stand for something internally. So if I put that there, then the students are getting, how much are you going to contribute to this strategic initiative? So it's much more in relation to what they're doing. And this is an example, I got to stay away from this. This is an example of an actual client where they focused on 3 business results. That was their key focus. And this is what they said post the event, which is right after the course, what they're going to do, in terms of how much percent improvement are they going to get in increasing quality, what percent in decreasing cost, and what percent in increasing productivity. This is training contribution. You know, how much of it is only due to the training, right? Because we're asking to isolate now the training. You multiply these 2, you get this. You adjust for the bias, you get 14%. Second, this follow-up is the 60 or 90 days that we come back to them and say, you said this, what did you actually happen, what are the deltas, and that's what these numbers showed. This was a 15% roughly increase. If you have 100 project managers making 100,000, let's say, I know it's different places, different currencies, different standards, but let's just make the math easier. 100,000 times 100 is what? Rough, come on. Thank you. And if I can save 15% based on these 3 data points, and assuming this one, let's say, wasn't for the same client, it didn't happen to be for this one for the same client, assuming that that's 18%, heck, I can bring it down to 5% or 10%. So you can start getting up with some estimates of the impact of this productivity or business impact by converting from salary, if you want, as one data point. But we're not done yet. This is all in the data. What we're going to do is I'm going to make sure I report on learning effectiveness. And this is the stuff about application and, sorry, not application, how many people attended, how many classes, is there a good buzz about the class? There's a lot of basic information that you can collect. Leading indicators, there's a lot of information about if I see more projects that have a risk management plan, that's a good leading indicator that shows me that I'm on the right path. If I had 5% of the projects having a risk management plan, then I put a risk management course in, and then 3 months later, I looked at the number of projects and I see 50% of the project having a risk management plan. That's an example of a leading indicator of success. So I can add that to the narrative, right? Not only with the numbers I talked about, but to the narrative. Then, job impact and performance data we talked about, but here's a couple of other ones. Questions that we ask them. After the training, my manager and I will discuss how I'm going to apply this job. Think that's important? I will be provided accurate resources to apply what I learned. My manager and I already set expectations before the class, and I've met with him or her. And on-the-job materials will be helpful. And can you see how important cutting that data by the demographics, business unit 1, business unit 2, division 1, division 2, and show me who are the managers that are supporting this, who are the managers that are not supporting this. It's a pretty powerful tool. And then all the qualitative comments that come with it. With me? Can you see how that builds a business case? So now let me go very quickly through the how for this. These are the 3 areas that we focus on. Did the project deliver against expected outcomes? Did they follow processes? And how was the project team doing on this? And we did this leveraging the same analytics technology by having it a very quick, and the whole survey takes about 3 minutes. So what we did is outcomes, processes, and competency are the 3 areas we focus on, and we call that in our lingo project assessment tool. That's what we sell it as. Here's the outcomes, the questions around that. There's a section of it. You can see they're not overwhelming. They're very simple about, what has this met your business objective or not. The processes are very much based on PMI, and there's just one question on each. Was this followed? Was it not? How would you rate it? Competencies of project managers. This is the set of competencies. Made him 6. We didn't make him too big. And here's some of the results. These are the percentages of satisfactions with various outcomes from the stakeholders, where you can see how we kind of leverage all this data this is based on almost 500 projects. Here is a sample of impact to the organizations by business impact. What were the percentages of people that said this business impact was increased? And here is the team performance based on the 6 areas where they scored high and where they scored low. And lastly, here are the blind spots between what the team said and what the stakeholders said. So if I think I'm great and somebody else thinks they're not great. So we're using the results with clients in many ways. These are a couple of them. What are the competencies that I need to invest in? This is a great marketing thing for the PMO or whoever is responsible for this, to show, hey, look at what our stakeholders are saying. This gives you quick data points that you can build on, more meaningful conversation about project outcomes, and tell a more interesting story. This is all after the projects. Can you imagine how impactful it would be if it's done at the beginning of the project, at each milestones? And these are the couple of areas to consider in moving forward, leveraging the demographics of projects and project managers to cut the data to see the project managers, this person is better for this type of project. This person is better for that type of project. Because if you track types of projects and project managers, you can get that data very nicely. Assessing it at key milestone, as we talked about. Customizing the survey to your own lingo makes a huge difference. So it becomes much more impactful to the companies, and moving it more from a lagging to a leading indicators, and the PMOs again can take ownership of this. So I know we went 5 minutes more. I know we shared a lot of information with you. I hope I gave you some interesting context and kind of where the lay of the land is. I hope I gave you an insight of how we do it on the training and how we took that and applied it on this project assessment tool to measure the same 3 areas: process, following the process, business impact, and how good or what's the competency of the project team, project manager and the project team. And you can turn these one on or off. Last comment I will say is this approach increases business value, the red, makes the projects more visible, reduces risk, and increases adaptability if you do it on a regular basis in a transparent way. Does this ring any bell with any of you, these 4 areas? Anybody been to an agile session this week? These are the basic business case for agile. If you go an agile approach, you can do these things. But I thought it's just a nice analogy to end this. So questions, I'm around. I'll take maybe one question, and then we'll let everybody go. And whoever wants to stay, we have a break. We can go through that. So one question, please. Oh, go ahead.
Go back to the earlier slide where you are saying how the top management sees as a PMO as in terms of a value. What could be since you are already much more seasoned person in those understanding of the PMO and other feedbacks, what is the key driving factor which is bringing the value of PMO down? What is the reason?
One of the key reasons of why the perception of the PMO value is down is the fault of the PMO, in my opinion. And I include myself in that. We don't position our value in a way that is business related. I mean, most PMOs are thought about as police. I mean, oh my God, we don't do the basics change management things to get the key project managers on board with what we're doing. So I think I cannot blame the senior team of their bad opinion. It's just a bit of a miscommunication. I think there's so much great things happening. It's just positioning it in a value and doing something like this to say, hey, I'm gonna check on processes, PM performance, and business impact every 3 months with this big project. That is business value to a company. All right, so with that, I'm gonna actually stop this and thank you for your time. My contact number is here. My team is here. We're right across the hall if you have any questions. So thank you for your time and attention. If you have any questions. Oh yeah, thank you, Guinea. One thing that Guinea is going to pass on your way out is going to give you just a quick feedback sheet. We take this very seriously. What do you think of the presentation? What other areas would you like for us to do, or focus on for your benefit in other PMI events? That will be great if you do that on your way out. Guinea will do that. So again, thank you very much. I appreciate your time, attention, and staying, the extra 8 or 9 minutes. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful and such an interactive session. I would request Mr. Piyush to present a memento.